What's up, everybody? I'm the Nerf modding nerd, and this is Nerf discussion number 2. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about magazines and what I think of them. So there's many different Nerf magazines, and some of these include the 6-dart magazine, the 18-dart magazine, the 12-dart magazine, the 10-round banana magazine, and the 10-dart magazine. So those are the different Nerf brand ones, but there's different variants on all of those. And today I'm only going to be covering standard N-Strike magazines and a few off-brand N-Strike magazines, but no Rival, no Vortex, none of that. So just a warning, this may be a little bit of a long video, but first off we're going to cover the pros and cons of each magazine. So starting off with the 6-round magazine, its pros that I see are it's really, really small and light, so it doesn't weigh much, it doesn't take up much space in blaster or attack gear, and the cons are it has a very low capacity. And this low capacity is why I don't use 6-round magazines. If it had a higher capacity with the same form factor, which wouldn't really be possible, then, great, use that. But I don't use 6-round magazines just because I don't see 6 darts as a practical amount of ammo before I have to reload, except for when I'm trying to be a sniper or something, which there is no such thing as a real Nerf sniper, so really the only thing that 6-dart magazines are good for is sniper. Next up is the 10-dart magazine and pros and cons of this. Pros, it is still higher capacity than the 6-round magazine and it's still very small. And the cons are it doesn't have as many darts as an 18-round magazine or a Worker 22, but it's still pretty darn small and holds a high capacity. So if I was running like a leg holster with a blaster in it, this is probably what I would be using, this or a 12-round magazine, though probably a 10-dart magazine. And that's pretty cool, and that's really the only use that I can see for them is on a leg holster, unless you want to put them like on a chest rig if you're a smaller person. Next up is the 10-round banana mag. This thing holds 10 darts, just like the straight mag, but it is a lot larger because of the banana or curved style. I frankly would not recommend this to anybody, as it's just an inefficient means of carrying darts unless you want to look tactical. And that's really the only reason you would buy one of these. And I believe they only came with the Demolisher. After that is the 12-round magazine, and this one is a lot better than the 10-round magazine as it holds 2 extra rounds with very little extra space, but still not quite as great as the 18-round magazine, except for smaller people. And the last of the Hasbro brand stick magazines is the 18-round stick mag. This is my personal magazine of choice, and it's great because it's not huge. It's long, but it's not huge. Compared to the other magazines, it is definitely a great capacity to size ratio. And then there's also some drums. This is the 18-dart drum, and it only came with the original N-Strike Alpha Trooper. And since these things only came with the original Alpha Trooper, you really cannot find them anywhere anymore, except for maybe in thrift stores every so often, or if you happen to have an original Alpha Trooper lying around. So really these things aren't very practical just because of the fact that you can't find them, but if you can find one, it's great for a holstered sidearm or something like a Strife. After that, there's the 25-round drum, which came with a whole bunch of blasters like the Rampage and the Hyperfire and Rhino Fire, other ones like that. And these things are pretty good if you need something that's higher capacity but not huge, but really these things are fairly obscured by the next drum. And that drum is the 30-round drum, and these things are only found with the Infamous, but these things just released last year, so you're still very able to find these in stores. I would say this one's a bit better than the 25-round drum just because it's not that much bigger, and it does have 5 extra rounds, and those 5 extra rounds could save you not having to reload in something like HVZ. And next up is my personal favorite drum because it's the only drum that I personally own. I've used most of the other drums, but I own this one personally, and I like this one a lot. It's the 35-round drum. It is pretty bulky, but I like to start out with it in my blaster. I don't really do HVZ. I want to get into it, but I just haven't had the time yet. But in the wars that I normally do, I start out with a 35-round drum just because it's a very efficient way of carrying 35 rounds without having to reload at the very beginning of the game, which is when I'm using the most ammo. And then there's the last highest capacity and newest drum, which actually hasn't been released at the time of this recording, and that is the 50-round drum, which it was supposed to come with the Stampede back in 2010, but didn't. And it will be coming with the Titan CS50 this fall of 2019. And I really don't see a place for this, honestly. Like, I have not held one of these, unfortunately, as I didn't get to find one at Jared's Epic Nerf Battle 4 or any other events, but I did see this in person at Jared's Epic Nerf Battle 4. I believe Nerfers 101 had it, and it's a big drum. So there's really not going to be a place for it in HVZ. Maybe in other battles you can just set it on a wall or a barricade or something and just put your blaster in there and fire from there. But I really don't see this thing getting used much. I think it's going to be cool, but I don't see it getting used much unless you are the designated hang in the back of the group and just unload your ammo. But if you're going to do that, Prometheus or Nemesis is probably going to be better. And that's all of the overviews for the magazines. I'm not going to be covering off-brand magazines today, and I probably will not make a separate video on that, but my conclusion is you can have your preference, but my personal preference is the 18-round stick magazine. I think it's a great capacity versus size difference that really gives you the most capacity for the least amount of space. The 18-round drum is great, but I prefer the stick magazines over drums. My favorite drum is the 35-round drum because I like to start with that in my blaster, and the 50-round drum is going to be way too bulky to do that, but I think besides that, the 18-round stick mags are my personal favorite. So that's going to bring this Nerf discussion to an end. If you have any thoughts, what your favorite magazine is and why, please leave it in the comments below. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe for weekly Nerf news, mods, reviews, Nerf discussions, and more. I'm the Nerf Modding Nerd, and I'll see you next time.